This week in Jamaica Now. Why INDECOM is intensifying its probe into the police killing of 2 men after a deadly robbery. How this man, arrested by the police and driven away, was later found dead at the Trafalgar Road crime scene. Man said to be in a relationship with a 14-year-old girl arrested in connection with her killing. 10 years after the murder of Bunny Francis, his killers are sentenced to life in prison. Trelawny's only fire truck destroyed in a bush blaze. Then,
if you have several A's over here and you have 6 or 8 over there, where's the challenge?
House Speaker and opposition divided over new voting rule in the Parliament.
What you're articulating there represents the tyranny of the majority.
40 years after the death of Bob Marley, a lawyer looks back at the battle for his musical assets. And champs in a pandemic, memorable athletics meet hosted for the first time without spectators. I'm Damian Mitchell, and this is Jamaica Now. The Independent Commission of Investigations is intensifying its probe into the police killing of 2 men along Trafalgar Road in St. Andrew on Monday. The men had earlier committed a murder and robbery on Old Hope Road in St. Andrew. According to INDECOM, there has been some speculation, confusion, and inaccuracies in the initial police report. The police had initially reported that the 2 men were shot dead and a third escaped. The first videos from the scene show 1 man apparently shot dead while inside the getaway car. If you look closely here, you will see another man falling to the ground, then rolling out of sight. Minutes later, the police arrested a man from the nearby Abbey Court. INDECOM says videos show the man dressed in jeans and a camouflage shirt being placed in the back of a police car. But according to INDECOM, that same arrested man was later seen on social media recordings lying on Trafalgar Road. He's one of the 2 deceased. A post-mortem examination is scheduled for next week. At the same time, INDECOM is awaiting JAMAICA Eye and other surveillance videos as part of its probe. A 20-year-old St. Catherine man remains in police custody for the murder of a 14-year-old girl with whom he had a relationship. Denisha Cooper, a student of the Jonathan Grant High School, died in the Kingston Public Hospital on Monday. Denisha was stabbed multiple times with a kitchen knife about 8 p.m. on Saturday in the Naysbury Grove section of Kidstontown, St. Catherine. She was reportedly returning from a shop nearby her house when she was attacked. The accused reportedly approached her from behind, covered her mouth, and stabbed her repeatedly before running off into the nearby bushes. He was later caught. Her stepfather, Andre Stewart, said he tried relentlessly to end the relationship between the two. In St. Anne, the 13-year-old girl at the center of an alleged case of buggery has reportedly changed her account of the incident. The Gleaner understands that when the matter was heard in court on Friday morning, it was disclosed that the young girl has told the police that her first statement was incorrect. It is understood that the girl told investigators that she was not abducted. It is reported that the girl said she willingly went with one of the accused and that she was never buggered. 6 persons have been arrested and charged in relation to the buggery allegations. Deputy Superintendent of Police in charge of crime for St. Anne, Linton Bailey, and Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, have both declined to comment on the development. The 2 men convicted for the 2011 murder of businessman Roderick Bunny Francis have been sentenced to life in prison. Dominican Republic native Carlos Batista, 52, who now resides in Kingston, and George Gardner, a 37-year-old computer technician, were each sentenced by Justice Georgiana Fraser. They must serve 37 years before becoming eligible for parole. But 4 years and 4 months will be subtracted for the time spent in custody, meaning that they will now serve 32 years to attain eligibility for parole.
We feel thankful that justice has been done. The judge was very fair, took everything into consideration, and for all those out there who have been victims of murder, I can tell you, justice has been done.
Investigation in this case was absolutely first class.
That's it?
Yes.
Full stop.
And I would commend them. Right? I'll leave it at that.
Batista and Gardner were convicted on January 18 following an 8-week in-camera trial. 61-year-old Bunny Francis, the chief executive officer of B&D Trawling, was attacked and shot shortly after leaving his Queensway St. Andrew home on June 25, 2011. Batista had plotted with Gardner and at least one other person to kill Francis. Fire officials are now seeking to replace the single fire truck in Trelawny, which was destroyed in a blaze on Thursday afternoon. There were no injuries. Acting Assistant Commissioner at the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Emilio Ebanks, said the truck was being used to extinguish a bushfire in Georgia near the closed Long Pond Sugar Factory. It had run out of water while responding to the bushfire. The fire encircled the truck and ignited it. Ebanks said the Jamaica Fire Brigade will be moving hastily to replace the fire unit in Falmouth. The opposition has accused the House Speaker, Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert, of seeking to weaken its authority in the Parliament following a controversial ruling on Wednesday on the voting process in the lower house. At the start of the sitting, Dalrymple-Filbert ruled that a divide which triggers an individual vote-taking would only be allowed at her discretion and in circumstances where it is unclear there is a certain majority.
There is no basis to challenge the opinion of the chair if there's a preponderance of A's. It is just disruptive. That is the position. It cannot be used just for interruption. And I read this section and I read the maze as well.
What you're articulating there represents the tyranny of the majority. If the practice is inconsistent with the standing orders, it can't supersede the standing orders. However, the practice is not inconsistent with the standing orders. The standing orders are very clear that any member can call for a divide once a decision has been taken as to whether the noes or the yeses have it. Now, it is not a question of what is the purpose of that. If the purpose of that is merely to establish, if the purpose of that was relevant, then we would never be able to have a divide because the numbers on this side are a mere fraction of the numbers on that side. But the purpose of a divide does more than just establish the preponderance over there or here. It establishes the importance of the matter to the opposition. It establishes who feels in what way on the particular matter. It accords an opportunity for a member to abstain if they so wish. And there's nothing in the standing orders which suggests that the right to call for a divide is conditional on there being some lack of clarity as to whether the majority will carry.
The world this week marked 40 years since the passing of reggae legend Bob Marley. Queen's Counsel Michael Hilton remembers, like yesterday, the legal battle in which he was involved to secure the musical assets of Bob Marley for his widow and his 11 children. Hilton said although it took more than a decade for them to get control of his musical assets, they never gave up the fight.
The sale included likeness, image and likeness rights. So the right to use Bob's name and image in advertising, for example, promoting products, that was also part of the sale. And the family was very concerned that a sale to an external commercial entity whose only concern would be to get as much financial return as they could would mean that his name and image and likeness and so on would be used in ways that he would never have approved and they would never approve. So that it's been of great importance to the family that they have the power to control that and to decide what to approve and what not to approve.
Bob Marley died on May 11, 1981 at the age of 36 and did not leave a will. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, subscribe today and turn on your notifications. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, Champs 2021 in a pandemic. Records, injuries and victory at the National Stadium, but no spectators this year.